They say, blood is thicker than water, and yet some people quietly walk away from the very families they were born into. It feels unnatural, almost taboo. Why would someone abandon the safety of familiarity, the rituals of family gatherings, the warmth of shared history? Perhaps because the walls we see are only shadows of the walls they've built inside themselves. Silent, unspoken battles shape the way they guard their hearts, refusing to forgive old wounds, cutting ties after betrayals that left invisible scars. They disappear without explanation, prefer solitude over reconciliation, and protect their peace with a vigilance that outsiders mistake for coldness. But what is it that drives this quiet exodus? Is it fear of intimacy, hidden pain, or a necessity to survive emotionally? Today we explore the psychology of people who walk away from family drama and guard their emotions closely, the invisible struggles, the unseen courage, and the quiet strength of those who choose themselves. Let's begin. They say, home is where the heart is, yet for some, home becomes a maze of shadows, corridors of quiet tension, where laughter has faded and familiar voices feel distant. You may notice it first in the small things, a declined invitation, a late reply, a missed holiday gathering. These are not acts of malice, nor rebellion. They are the subtle architecture of invisible walls, walls built slowly, brick by brick, with experiences that whispered of betrayal, misunderstanding, and fear of being controlled. It begins with avoidance, avoiding family dinners, avoiding conversations that could reopen old wounds, avoiding the intimacy that feels threatening rather than comforting. Friends may remark, they used to be so close, not understanding that closeness, for some, became synonymous with exposure, vulnerability, and pain. Longtime friends notice the absence, siblings feel the quiet distance, and yet the person who withdraws feels an odd relief. For them, peace comes in silence, not in confrontation. These walls are not uniform. Some are fortified with secrecy, others with deflection, some with relentless emotional armor. They hide grief behind smiles, pain behind busy routines, and longing behind calm, unbothered expressions. A glance may reveal nothing, yet beneath the surface, a constant vigilance hums, guarding the heart from further harm, ensuring that history does not repeat itself. Why do they build these walls? Is it fear, caution, or the remnants of old heartbreaks? Often it is all of these, a quiet negotiation between desire and self-preservation, refusal to forgive past betrayals, the habit of pushing others away before they can hurt again, the decision to walk away from family drama. All these behaviors are signals, not failures. They are strategies of survival, subtle protections erected to navigate a world that has, at times, been unsafe. Perhaps the most difficult realization is that these walls are invisible to those outside. No one sees the effort it takes to maintain composure, to smile when solitude feels safer than conversation, to carry on while silently shielding the self. And yet within these walls lies a paradox: isolation that protects, and distance that preserves the capacity to feel. In recognizing these invisible walls, we begin to understand the silent courage it takes to walk away without hatred, to guard emotions closely, and to protect peace above all else. These are not acts of surrender, they are quiet, steadfast acts of self-preservation. They say, children are like clay, they take the shape of the hands that mold them, and yet sometimes the clay resists, fractures or hardens in unexpected ways. The decision to walk away from family drama rarely comes from a single moment. It is a mosaic of experiences, some whispered in silence, others etched in memory with sharp edges. Childhood neglect, unresolved conflicts, early betrayals. These are the seeds of separation, quietly planting themselves in the landscape of the mind. Perhaps a sibling's rivalry never truly healed, or a parent's expectations felt like invisible chains. Perhaps words meant to guide instead cut deeper than intended. Over time, small fractures become invisible fissures. Every disappointment, every ignored feeling, every betrayal, whether large or small, collects sediment in the heart, forming layers that are hard to unearth, layers that protect as much as they isolate. Longtime friends may see a pattern, a reluctance to trust, a hesitancy to forgive, an instinct to withdraw before being hurt again. Family gatherings become arenas of caution, conversations feel like tests, and the simple act of speaking truth can feel like exposing a raw nerve. In response, some begin to hold grudges, not out of spite, but as a shield, a quiet record of pain meant to prevent repetition. The roots of separation are often tangled with love and loyalty. The desire to belong remains, yet the instinct for self-preservation grows stronger. Some learn early that compromise comes at the cost of their peace, that empathy without reciprocity leads to exhaustion, and that silence can be safer than explanation. Walkaways, cut-offs, and those who vanish without explanation are not abandoning love. They are navigating a world that has, in small but profound ways, shown them that their emotional survival requires distance. It is in this quiet recognition that the paradox emerges: detachment born from vulnerability, solitude born from necessity. The refusal to reconcile past injuries is not cruelty, but a boundary drawn with care. The choice to guard emotions closely is not weakness, but an assertion of inner sovereignty. And while these roots may be painful to trace, understanding them allows us to see the courage hidden in what the world misinterprets as coldness. These early experiences, these invisible fractures, plant the framework for the walls they build today. They are not signs of failure or abandonment. They are the echoes of survival, the wisdom of hearts that have learned to protect themselves before venturing into the unpredictable terrain of connection. They say, "We are drawn to warmth, yet we fear the burn." For those who walk away from family drama and guard their emotions closely, this paradox becomes their daily reality. The act of distancing is not random, it is deeply psychological, rooted in the brain's instinct to protect itself from repeated emotional pain. Fear of intimacy, difficulty trusting others, and hyper-awareness of potential betrayal all converge, creating a landscape where emotional retreat feels safer than engagement. Psychologists describe this pattern as an adaptive response. The mind, having catalogued past hurt, begins to anticipate harm before it occurs. Avoidance of family gatherings, reluctance to confide, and preference for solitude are not signs of apathy. They are subtle survival strategies. Cutting ties after betrayal, refusing reconciliation, or keeping a small circle of trusted individuals are cognitive shields, carefully constructed to preserve internal equilibrium. Every decision to withdraw is informed by a subconscious calculation: what is safe? What will hurt? How can I maintain peace without being consumed by conflict? At the core lies a tension between desire and protection. They long for connection, yet their past experiences have taught them that attachment can be dangerous. Emotional armor, walls built around the heart, offers shelter, but also isolation. The mind oscillates between hope and caution, vulnerability and defense. Over time, this oscillation becomes second nature. Distance feels natural, solitude becomes comforting, and guarding emotions closely becomes an art of survival. Neuroscience offers insight too. Chronic stress from unresolved familial conflict can heighten amygdala activity, the brain's alarm system, making one more sensitive to perceived threats. This heightened vigilance manifests in behaviors that outsiders might misinterpret as coldness or indifference. Yet beneath these protective measures lies awareness, a careful balance of self-preservation and longing, a silent negotiation between being seen and remaining safe. Walking away is not abandonment, it is conscious regulation of one's emotional landscape. Refusal to forgive, choosing no contact, avoiding attachment. These are strategies that reflect wisdom born of hardship, not failure. They demonstrate the mind's remarkable capacity to adapt, to create order from chaos, and to maintain integrity in the face of relational turbulence. In understanding the psychology behind the distance, we begin to see the quiet courage in emotional withdrawal. Each wall, each boundary, each measured step away from drama, is a testament to the resilience of those who navigate the delicate terrain of trust, pain, and self-protection. The distance is not emptiness, it is careful, deliberate care for the heart. They say, the heart wants what it wants, yet the mind often resists. For those who walk away from family drama and guard their emotions closely, This tension is a daily silent struggle. A part of them longs for connection, the warmth of familiarity, the laughter of shared memories, the sense of belonging, but another part whispers caution, urging retreat, protection and distance. It is a battle waged not with others, but within. This inner conflict manifests subtly at first, hesitating to answer calls, postponing visits, or speaking in measured tones to avoid emotional exposure. Each choice is weighed against a mental ledger of past hurt, betrayals and disappointments. Emotional closeness, once safe, now carries risk. Fear of vulnerability, fear of being controlled, and fear of repeating old patterns pull them backward even as the desire for intimacy pulls them forward. Resistance is not rebellion, it is preservation. They may push away those who wish to draw near, silence feelings they wish they could express, or detach after emotional hurt. Sometimes the most courageous act feels like coldness, walking away without explanation, refusing to reconcile, keeping secrets they never speak. Yet within these actions lies a careful calculation, a negotiation between survival and desire, a subtle defense against further erosion of the self. Metaphorically, their hearts are like a river dammed against the tide. The water is still, calm on the surface, but underneath currents churn, longing for release, yearning for connection, yet held back by barriers built over years. This resistance is not stubbornness, it is the mind's and heart's way of saying, I will survive, but on my terms. In this chapter, we see that inner conflict is not weakness, it is a nuanced dialogue between fear and hope, between guarding and reaching out. It is the friction that sharpens resilience, the tension that teaches boundaries, and the resistance that allows self-preservation without surrendering entirely to despair. Understanding this struggle illuminates the paradox of those who distance themselves. They are neither cold nor unfeeling. They are negotiating a fragile equilibrium, balancing the desire to love and be loved with the instinct to protect their emotional core. Within resistance lies both the cost of past pain and the quiet strength of a heart that refuses to be broken again. They say, sometimes the hardest choices lead to the clearest truths. For those who walk away from family drama and guard their emotions closely, there comes a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when clarity dawns. It may arrive after a betrayal too heavy to ignore, after heartbreak that lingers in silence, or after the relentless friction of old wounds left unhealed. These turning points are not dramatic epiphanies, they are subtle awakenings, whispered realizations that change the trajectory of emotional life. Often, it begins with observation, noticing that repeated attempts at reconciliation reopen the same pain, that conversations meant to heal instead trigger fear, and that the familiar bonds once cherished feel suffocating rather than nurturing. The recognition emerges that maintaining peace may require choosing distance, that protecting one's heart sometimes demands walking away without apology. It is here that the mind begins to understand the paradox. Freedom and detachment are not absence of love, but presence of self-preservation. These moments of realization are deeply personal. For some, it is the quiet acknowledgement that forgiving does not always mean returning, that refusing reconciliation is not cruelty, and that prioritizing inner peace is an act of courage, not selfishness. For others, it is the understanding that extreme boundaries, no-contact decisions, and emotional armor are strategies born from necessity, not bitterness. They become aware of their own strength, the strength forged by heartbreak, by secrets kept, and by lessons learned in silence. The turning point often brings relief as much as sadness, relief in understanding that detachment can coexist with care, that solitude does not equal failure, and that walking away is not surrender. Sadness for the connections that could not survive, the trust that could not be rebuilt, and the love that could not be nurtured. Yet in this duality lies profound wisdom. Pain is acknowledged, boundaries are respected, and the heart begins to recognize its own limits. In this chapter, we see how realization transforms perception. What once felt like isolation now appears as self-protection. What once seemed like abandonment is now understood as deliberate preservation. The turning point is less a decision and more a quiet awakening, a recognition that walking away, setting limits and guarding emotions closely, are acts of subtle, enduring courage. They say, in stillness the soul speaks. For those who walk away from family drama and guard their emotions closely, solitude becomes both a refuge and a teacher. It is not emptiness, nor punishment. It is a deliberate space where the heart can breathe, where old wounds can be acknowledged, without judgment, and where the mind can untangle the threads of betrayal, fear, and hidden pain. Healing in solitude is quiet, almost imperceptible. It begins with small rituals, turning inward instead of outward, choosing peace over conflict, and embracing moments of reflection rather than distraction. Here, the distance from family drama transforms from an act of avoidance into a conscious act of self-preservation. By refusing to engage in repeated cycles of hurt, by maintaining boundaries, and by choosing to stay unbothered, they cultivate an inner sanctuary, where emotions can be processed safely. This chapter explores how solitude offers perspective. In isolation, the hidden emotions that were once suppressed can surface gently, without the pressure of external judgment. Memories of past betrayals, long-held grudges, and silence that once weighed like chains can be examined with care. The mind begins to notice patterns, the triggers that once led to conflict, the relationships that eroded trust, and the emotional walls that were both protective and isolating. Solitude allows for a recalibration, a reweaving of the self from fragments that were scattered in the pursuit of survival. Metaphorically, solitude is like a river slowly clearing sediment. The water appears calm, but beneath the surface, silt settles, revealing clarity and depth. Walking away from family drama, refusing to reconcile prematurely, and guarding emotions closely become acts of active restoration, not avoidance. Each day spent in reflective solitude strengthens resilience, nurtures self-awareness, and builds the quiet courage needed to re-enter the world when the time is right. Through this lens, walking alone is not a punishment, it is a path to rediscovery. Solitude allows one to embrace their strength, to honor the pain without being consumed by it, and to emerge with clarity and groundedness. For those who have learned to distance themselves, healing is not a race, nor a destination. It is a gentle ongoing process, where boundaries, reflection, and emotional armor coexist with understanding, compassion, and quiet strength. They say, some hearts are like castles, impenetrable from the outside, alive within. For those who walk away from family drama and guard their emotions closely, this metaphor is not an exaggeration, it is their lived reality. Their emotional armor is both shield and sculpture, shaped over years of unseen battles, silent betrayals, and moments when trust was broken too easily. It is heavy with the weight of experience, yet delicate in its precision, guarding the heart while preserving the capacity to feel. Emotional armor takes many forms. Some are walls, imposing, unwavering, separating them from others with calculated distance. Some are moats of solitude, filled with reflection and vigilance, allowing only those who approach carefully to cross. Some are cloaks of calm, masking the turbulence beneath a composed exterior. These layers protect against harm, but they also carry beauty, the discipline to know one's limits, the insight to discern friend from foe, and the quiet courage to walk away when love becomes entangled with pain. Within this armor, contradictions live. Vulnerability still exists in hidden pockets, flickering like candlelight behind the stone. Longing for connection coexists with fear of betrayal. Moments of solitude coexist with silent strength. The armor is not a refusal to love, but a negotiation between what is safe and what is desired, between the self-preserved and the heart exposed. The act of guarding emotions closely can appear cold to outsiders, but it is deeply human. It is a rhythm of care, a cadence of protection, a poetic dance between trust and caution. Walking away, setting boundaries, and shielding oneself is an art as much as a strategy. It tells a story without words, that pain has been felt, lessons have been learned, and the heart, though cautious, continues to beat with resilience. In reflection, these emotional fortresses are less about isolation and more about self-respect. They are monuments to endurance, silent testimonies to the strength required to navigate family dynamics, betrayal, and heartbreak. They remind us that courage is often quiet, and that strength can be invisible. Within the architecture of emotional armor lies a paradox. The heart may hide, but it is never truly absent. It waits, protected, patient, and unbroken. If parts of this reflection felt familiar, if something quiet inside you was touched, know that you are not alone. The people who walk away from family drama and guard their emotions closely are often misunderstood, yet their experiences are profoundly human. Choosing distance, setting boundaries, and protecting the heart are not acts of cruelty or rejection. They are acts of survival, of self-respect, of quiet courage. For those who have chosen solitude over confrontation, who have kept their circle small, who have refused reconciliation to preserve inner peace, there is validation in understanding that these choices, though difficult, are both necessary and wise. Healing does not require returning to what once caused pain, and strength is often found in the spaces left by absence. Emotional walls, silent departures, and careful boundaries are not signs of failure. They are testament to resilience, insight, and the capacity to value oneself. If this video made you feel seen, or if the patterns explored here mirror your own experience, it is an invitation to gentle self-reflection. You may not need to explain your choices to anyone. Your quiet courage already speaks volumes. Here in this shared space, you are free to honor your emotions, embrace your solitude, and acknowledge the strength in guarding your heart. This channel is a place where we explore the hidden corners of the human heart, where silence, reflection, and the subtleties of emotional life are welcomed, not judged. If you'd like to stay connected, to continue witnessing and understanding the delicate truths of human experience, you are invited, but never required, to join this gentle conversation. If something resonates, you may leave your thoughts in the comments, knowing that your words may help another feel less alone, even in their quiet distance. Walk away when you must. Protect your peace. Guard your emotions. And in doing so, remember that solitude can be a companion, heartbreak can be transformative, and quiet courage is never wasted.